Okay, it's time for a little movie. Scene 1. A room darkened, filled with tables and chairs, people milling about, murmuring quietly, discussing literature, poetry, their lives. There was suddenly a kind of unnameable electricity permeating the room. Scene 2. The author sits at one of the tables listening to portraits of friends read by a poet on stage. She is holding a book, the title of which is obscured. Scene 3. Someone else is on stage reading to the audience who sit in rapt attention. The author is nervously flipping through the pages of her book. Suddenly, she spots it. A typo. She closes the book and places it on the table in front of her. Scene 4. People are chattering again, moving toward the book table. Oh, wait, this is supposed to happen after break. I got to change it. Between authors, in a long single shot, we follow the author from the room into the washroom where she nervously stares at herself in the mirror. It is intense. Scene 5. We see the book sitting on a table. The sound over is a man's voice describing scene shots. The title of the book clearly reads, Kate Eichhorn, Field Notes, a Forensic. The author stands, picks up the book, and makes her way to the stage.
Wow, thanks, Jay. It's important to point out, I think that my first book only sold about 100 copies. I bought about 70 of them. Jay gives us so much, and I thought, it's time for me to give something back to Jay Millar. So I thought, how can I write a book of poetry that people might vaguely be interested in? So I started thinking to myself, it's difficult because I'm an academic and I don't own a television set and I'm kind of weird and I'm a dyke, so I'm not really hooked into what's mainstream. But I thought, okay, what's, I know it's funny, it's hilarious, all of it. And I thought, well, I know people are really into CSI. So I thought I want forensics in the title of my book, because if I didn't have a forensic, then I would just be ripping off Robert Crouch. And so I had to put that in, and so I took things from CSI scripts and Bones. Later, Jay Millar admitted to me that he actually likes watching Bones. Okay, shh. But then I thought there's other popular genres. So if you looked at the GG list, it's good to have poems that look kind of like lyric poems. So I put some of those in. And I think I got some funding because I have some things that look like lyric poems in the book. And I also added another popular genre. Scene 3 is just porn. It's a porn script. So I combined television and pornography. I'm not going to read it tonight because there's children here, but there's great lines like archivist, harnessed and loaded. And if you don't know what that means, it's not your kind of porn. Okay. So you see, this is a gift for Jay, and I'm hoping that I'm going to sell all 500 copies, and he's no longer going to be living in poverty. Okay. So I'll just read 2 field notes. Another genre that's of interest to me because my training is in the social sciences. So the field note genre is something I've been grappling with for a long time. So these are the field notes of a forensic anthropologist. Trance states, disruptions, distally traumatic twilight zones, emic explanations, such as cultural ancestors, traditional devils, outsiders, and miscellaneous spirits, cross my naturalistic diagnostic categories. These syndromes are all schemes developed to easily capture a catharsis or time out from a stressful situation. Sudden death, catastrophe, prolonged puzzlement. We've all been crazy from that point of view. Reported a loss of fine-tuning, unraveling dynamics, preponderance, the interplay between personality functions. I've suffered from sleep disturbances, prodromal brooding, normal depression, withdrawal, anxiety, depersonalization, delusions, thought amnesia, thanatomia, mutism, empowering force syndrome, echopraxia, taboo and normal, echolalia, glossolalia, paroxysm, other malignant verbal developments, a tour of the world expressed in symptoms, syndromes, explanations for unimaginable events. Therapy can include drink, complete isolation, knotted strings around necks, blood boiled for steam, childbirth, thrashing, counteragents, coins, the meat of certain animals, rich tobacco smoke, muttering, charms, purging, dramatizations, a calabash of water, or convulsed tongue of a healer, complete loss of control over Western nosology. And I'll just read one more field note, which appears at the end of the book. Walking straight forward with buoyancy, my legs didn't tire coming here, but my hands hurt quickly. What breaks out of the cuff area, shoulders, thumbs, hyperextending postures. It's this desk work, stretching case by case, the flexion of notes, this index flipping the memory into different lived moments, the giving up, resentment, checkpoints where I grasped myself again. Fieldwork necessarily includes failures and reconstruction, also excessive pleasures, confusion. Today it was the expression of an absent field. The woman gave me means, not memories or dates. Lower bodies vis-a-vis shoulders, memories vis-a-vis hips, a network of palms, the inner surfaces of fingers, viscerally stepping beyond the sway of order, proprioceptive more than visual. I felt the weight of reading these patterns. Monitoring forearms down roots, distal ends leading towards paths, the gravity of conduct, contact, a smile or gaze intricately twisted out from an upper torso. Ephemeral cairns, unreadable, still in motion I stretch to grasp these principles. The density of this telling, of subjects, objects, selves, etc. Eyes looking, a learnable imitative act. Objectivity buckles in the face of fallible multivocal absences. Today, I couldn't even monitor my own blinking. Loosely described every step, felt the length of this entry. A coil of conditions for winding in many dimensions, durations. A single and absorbing story made it possible to confront the bus terminal, tea house half a mile away. But the real issue was the emptiness. Her painful legs refused to emerge. It was a question of a particular movement, a passage from analysis to terrifying hallucination. The pressure oozing out of her, still nursing, she held up the head. Her own singular sensation of pain, ferociously archival proof of an event that left no other material, no dancing devils or spiteful stains, crazed figures with bracelets, rings, or intricate featherwork. Acquiescence hides the rest. Combing documents, oral myths, Polaroids, dirt, toys, various circuits of memory between warm beer and food, she transmitted her separation in a large plastic bag, a tooth relic, broken tip. The body was no longer rememberable. What it had been before, under the influence and over the obstructions, decisive unconscious complicities that marked the best of bodies. I came in time to surmount this, a compass of pale lines concluding cases I knew she was not herself on the dance floor. One can be everything there. Glimpse a body capable of escaping years. She came with a name attached, reenacting the paralysis of these events, a private theater of impressions, the end of space. How small the choreographed repetition of symptoms, periodic blindness, catharsis. Again, the act of finding ourselves in a passage, a memoir. Narrating led me to HIDs located at the edge of interpretation, fingernails cut with traumatic precision, airs, poetic emptiness. The intangible center of identity breathes itself into my hands. Face alight, I register her performance, the real occasion of hard-edged anguish. But I did not steal anyone's details, reputation, attributes. These last 3 days spent the night in an interior garden. Identical notebooks with maps of the site, literary turn on my mind. I looked down on all of this from a single knoll. The white dome shrines, crenellated walls, abstract geometries, caravanserais baths, the sensation of distinct vocabularies. One would think that to end should be easy, you just stop. How inconceivable, body of the town tumbling across these incise lines. Thanks.